Hey everybody, Kelly here. So if you're watching this right away, today is Saturday, May 10th, and tomorrow is Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to everybody. Well, it's Mother's Day here in the US. I'm not sure about some other countries. I think they celebrated at a different time, but happy Mother's Day to everybody anyway. And so I have actually been gone for a few weeks. It was one more week than I planned, but it's been it's been a really fast spring already this year. And so we've had Easter, we've had my birthday, we had a little trip, we've had some chores, some gardening to do, lots of fun stuff like that. So I do have a few finishes. Well, no, sorry. I do have a few ongoing projects that I have partially finished, and hopefully next video or the next couple of videos I'll have some actual finishes to show as well. But on the quilting front, I've actually got some starts going, and so we've been talking a lot lately about Fatquartershop's Make-A-Wish charity quilt-alongs from the past years that I have always participated, but I always purchased the package or kit, but I didn't always have an opportunity to get them accomplished in the year that they were released. So I have two of those this year that I'm working on from previous years. And the first one that I've been working on is was called Bountiful, and that's the finished quilt there. And so the first couple of blocks that I got done are the baskets. So release one, and I don't know if I can back up enough actually. So that's the first block, and then the second block here was same basic pattern. Well, it was the same pattern, just in a different colorway. And so I think those are really cute. These would almost be really cute just as a wall hanging of their own. I think that'd be nice. So I got those finished, and then, so that was release one for Bountiful. And actually I set that over to the side, and I need to set it in front of me because that's where I have the rest of that kit. Just kind of throw it over there, right? So the second one that I got finished, or the first block finished, the first release finished, is actually called Serendipity, and it's this quilt right here. That's what it'll look like when it's done. And this one looks very easy. It is very easy, but it is very time consuming already. So, and I don't mean that in a negative sort of way. It's kind of negative compared to what I'm going to talk about next. But, so I got that first release done, and it's just a series of the same style of block. And so I won't show you the whole length, but there's all the different colors. And this is one of my favorite fabrics right there with the bees in it. And I kind of like the one with the wording. Well, not kind of. I do like it. I like this. I'm going to really love this quilt because I love the dark blue with it as well. I like quilts of all colors, but the more white there is in the quilt, the more I feel like I need to just hang this on the wall because it's going to get dirty, and I don't want to have done all that work just to have it get stained or dirty or whatever. That being said, I do have a couple that are kind of what I call couch quilts when you're not feeling well and you just want to snuggle up with a quilt. But typically those are going to be ones that have darker colors just in case of a stain or something like that. Well, something like that. A stain's a stain. All right. So that's Serendipity. Now, I expect that I'm going to be finished with the Bountiful quilt along much quicker than I'm going to be finished with Serendipity. For one reason, the Bountiful actually was separated into 5 releases, including the finishing, and this at Quilt Deck here actually is 8 releases. Yeah, and 8 is the finishing on that. So I was going to try to do both this top row and this little row right in here, but I just didn't get enough time to do it. Because it'll be flying geese. It should be fairly quick. But hopefully maybe I can tack that on with the next one then. I don't know. I may just have to take a couple more months on this one than the other. We'll see. Honestly, the only time frame here is one that I'm putting on myself, so you know, not too big a deal. So the Fatquartershop is once again this year doing the charity quilt along, and this year the title of it is Starburst. I might have to put a picture up here if I have one, but I don't have a printout for it. I just have it on my phone. So, and the colors that they're using for it, or the fabrics they're using for it, are from Camille Roskelley, and they're very pretty. It's a very pretty kit. I thought about it, getting it, but I have so much stashed around here. I just wanted to go through what I have and pick something that I have, and I decided to go ahead and try to quilt along with it this year. I may not keep up, but I'm going to give it a shot. Well, by keep up, this is going to be an easy one. It's 2 releases this year. So Fatquartershop did the first release. I've finished the first release. I shouldn't have a problem with getting the second one done when they do that one as well. So let me see if I'm holding this upright. So mine is not going to be the same as what theirs looks like, because they chose a dark blue, a pink, a green, and I think another blue, and then white for the background. And I pretty much went with mostly blues. Well, yeah, I went with 4 blues and a white for the background that has red, white, and blue in it. So mine might be a little blendy, not so, like, nothing really I thought after I got this block done, I thought maybe I should have chose red for the next color. So this actually only uses 2 blues and then the background color, and then there'll be 2 more in the next release. So make sure I've got this, holding this the right way. Let's see if I can back up enough to show the whole thing. So it's called Starburst, and this is the first portion of it. As I drop it. And we'll sneak in a little closer there, and you can see all those chickens. Red, white, and blue chickens. And so I think so far it looks pretty good. I do kind of wonder if I'm not going to wish that this blue right here was a red, but we'll see when I get the rest of it finished how much it stands out. So, because that's how they kind of did it with a blue down here. This was a navy blue, and then I think their next color was a green. So all these were greens here. And then the next one I think was a blue. It was a pink and a blue, maybe something like that. Anyhow, so there's is much more. I can't think of the word I want to use. The colors are very different, whereas these one blue, a second blue, a third blue, a fourth blue, I'm not sure if they're going to be different enough to really set the pattern off. Okay, well that was my quilting, and for 3 weeks it didn't feel like a lot, but yeah, there was a lot of other things that I had to get done. And like I said, this particular one right here, it's funny because I talked about this year's Fatquartershop, this year's quilt along felt like it was going to be very beginner. Well, the size of this block that I just held up took me less time than just doing this strip. So And I mean, it is a pretty long strip. This is only half of it, but this took me as long as that block right there. So, and in fact, it took me probably longer. But you know, the smaller pieces you have, the more sewing you do, the more you have to watch out for things, and the longer it takes. Now that being said, some of my points don't match up. That's just the way it is. In fact, I'm probably showing a couple right there. I don't know. I do know. I'm hurrying along, and I'm kind of okay with that. They're not really bad. They're just not fantastic. So, yeah. And if they were bad, I would redo it then, but it's just that they are not 100% matchy. But from far away, you can't see it. If I go like this, then you can probably see that it's not quite matchy. But how many people actually are going to inspect this quilt is not going to be inspected. It's not going to be going to the fair. It's not going to be judged. It's just going to be a nice one that I have in my house. So, or that I maybe gift to somebody and hope that they don't look at it too close, right? But it'll be the overall effect. I think it'll be very beautiful. It just, not all the points are going to match on that particular row. Oh well. All right, so that was my quilting. I've also been doing a lot of stitching and a lot of planning for some finishes. And so I almost kind of wish I almost think maybe I put it off and show you just the finishes. No, you're going to want to see the stitching, right? Okay. So very quickly, this particular one, this was for Easter. It's not done yet, but I got the stitching done on it. It was from Hands On Design, and I actually did this pattern last year, and this one I am going to make into a pillow very similar to this. I might have a little bit different decorative item right there, but like a ribbon maybe instead or something. But that's what I plan on doing with that one. That's easy peasy. Next thing that I finished, but I didn't finish, and I especially didn't finish because I remembered there was another part that I was supposed to do before I went to the spring mingle from Lindy Stitches. So Lindy Stitches hosts several online events, and they do the Jingle Ball in like November, or no, early December, first week in December. And so now they're doing they did a spring mingle in, was it last week? The week before? I can't remember. I think it was last weekend. And Kathy Haberman of Hands On Design, the pattern that I just showed to, did a special chart for the event called This Bee's Got Knees. And actually, I got it upside down. And not really upside down because this is not how it's going to be finished. But I did all the stitching for it, except I forgot to do the back stitching. So it's supposed to be back stitched all around the outside, and then you actually make it into a pin cushion. So some of you may have actually gone to the spring mingle and had the pattern as well, but it'll be completely different from this the next time you see it. So anyhow, I'll get that back stitching done this weekend, and I will get it finished up, and I'll show you hopefully for the next video. All right, so that, and next thing I finished, but just the stitching, Sweet Wren by Teresa Kogut. And so that's really cute, pretty pattern. The bird was supposed to be more blue. Based on the picture in the booklet, it was supposed to be much more of a blue wren than a gray wren. But I used the DMC that she called for, and mine just came out very, very gray. So the letters, too, were supposed to be blue. So I started actually stitching them with a blue that I had and a couple other colors. You can see the K there in the bottom corner is actually in the more reddish color. That's for Kelly. So I just went ahead and highlighted the K. And then 2025, and how Teresa has this finished in the booklet. She had it finished on a board where the top of it was rounded, and so she had little Scrabble letters that spelled out Ren at the top, and then the stitching was mounted to another board with a fabric board between that and the board that it was mounted to. I might do something similar to that. Otherwise, I had this thought of how can I make like a birdhouse front and incorporate this. So I don't know, I'm giving it some thought, and we'll see next time what I manage to come up with. Like I said, it might just even be a flat fold. I don't know for sure. But I very much liked Teresa's finish, and so I thought possibly that, just if I can't come up with my own idea. So next thing that I have been working on is, I'll have to, hopefully I can put a picture in here. It's called Lily's Chickens, also by Teresa Kogut, and she finished it as a stocking, and I believe I'm going to finish it as a stocking too. I had this idea that maybe you could take the little toe of the bottom part of the stocking, that stitching in there, and work it back around and up so that it was more of a square stitch. But the more I thought about it, the more I liked how she finished it. So I want to go ahead and try to do that. And so this is how far I've gotten on my stitching. And it's just in a little hoop right now from Hobby. It was a clearance one from Hobby Lobby. I just thought it was kind of fun that it kind of matches the stitching so far. And so yeah, all I've got in is the very top part and the trees and the bunny's face. So, or not all of it, I still have to fill it all in. But I got started on that, so, and I will continue on that in a couple weeks, like every other week or so. I have a bunch of summer ones I want to get started now too, so this one might just hold off until next spring. It'll be a good Easter type stitch. So okay, next thing, another stitching finish, but not a finish just yet. That might be part of the finish. This might be part of the finish. This might be part of the finish. And this is the actual stitching. And this is called Blackbird of Spring from Fox and Rabbit. So it was designed by Karen from Fox and Rabbit. That's why the K in the top there. But again, I'm Kelly. My mom is Karen as well. So I've left the K and put in the year 2025. Now this was released for Nashville Needlework Market this year, but I actually got it through their Patreon last year and decided I didn't get a chance to stitch it when I got it through Patreon, so I went ahead and stitched it this spring. And I am thinking very much that I'm going to turn this into the cover for a sewing box. That's why I was showing you the Jimmy John's box. I'm going to try to figure out how to make this into a neat little stitchy box or a case to kit up another project. And I've especially been thinking a lot lately about when I decide that a stitch is for cases or a box or something like that, then I especially would like to start kitting up some projects from the designer that I have the stitches on the bag or the stitches on the box. It just makes it easier to remember. Then if you remember the project that's on the outside, you remember the project that's on the inside, right? Supposedly. I don't know. There are days. Memory. Okay. So I stitched on a few other things. I didn't get finishes for them, but I've done some stitching. So this bag right here, as I mentioned earlier, we celebrated my birthday a couple weeks ago, my 50th birthday. And so I have a birthday project that I started it last year actually. And I think I've mentioned this before in a couple other videos. I started it last year and I knew I was probably starting it on a fabric that was too small. And of course I did. And so I knew it was probably going to be too small, but I wanted to go ahead and stitch this one. And I thought, if it's too small, I'm just going to cut this out and I'll use it. And that's exactly what happened. I got so far into stitching this one and I knew the fabric was going to be too small. So I just went ahead and finished this one and I cut it out and put it into this bag. And so now every year this will be my birthday bag. This will be the stitch that I choose to do in April. So, or for my birthday, whatever I pick out, however long it takes. This one is probably going to take most of this year. Maybe not all of this year. And my birthday's in next April. So if I get it done, September, October, something like that, it'll be just fine. So this project is, I don't have the picture. Sorry, give me just 1 second and I will get the picture out. In fact, I might have flashed a little bit of the chart, but it'll only be a piece of it, so sorry about the crinkling. This project is called Sweet Treats. And I can really see this in my kitchen. Sweet Treats by Cottage Garden, Country Cottage Needleworks. Sorry, Country Cottage Needleworks. And in this pack I have the buttons that also get included in this eventually. And so, I don't think it's the buttons that were called for on the project, but I found some buttons that were very similar, and so I'm going to use those. All right, so first ones, I believe I had done most of the cake stitch up there. So I got the frame completed, and I had to work on the far side because I made a mistake. And so I needed to get the frames done for these two stitches over here because I made the mistake. And I didn't want to take it out. I made a mistake in the frame way back somewhere and didn't notice it until I got to the other end. I think I made it somewhere up in here. And then it's like I had stitched this way for some reason. And then I made a mistake up in here and stitched down here and was coming to a close down at the bottom, and I was figuring out that I made a mistake somewhere, and I went back in and I tracked it back all the way to here. And I thought, I'm not undoing that for 2 stitches. And so I just kind of figured, and I added 2 stitches. So then it becomes kind of easy to figure out. I just make this frame 2 stitches larger than the other frames will be. And hopefully it doesn't look off when I get done, but if it is a little bit, it should not be too bad. It should not be too badly noticeable. It's not like you're going to see it from across the room. It's kind of how I feel. In fact, I don't know that most people would know it if I didn't say it. But I'll go ahead and say it, that's why I'm over here on these two. I would normally be starting on this side. Once I got the frame done, I'd be starting left and working right. But I started right, and I actually finished a portion of the cake, I think the last time I showed it, but I had to complete it this past time that I was stitching, and then I came on down here and got the rest of this motif done down here. And so now I just have 4 more to do, and they should be pretty. I mean, each one of these probably takes about a week, so it'll still be showing up later this summer and fall, just because I don't want to stitch on it for much more than a week at a time. I've got so many other projects that I want to do a little bit on, and I want this one to last a little bit. Like I said, it's for my birthday stitch. It can last all year long, right? And then next year, for my next birthday, hopefully it'll be framed and in my kitchen. So, and I think it'll be really cute. I thought the color turned out pretty nice, and so yeah, I hope I'm able to find a nice frame for that one. And okay, next stitch that I worked on, I am also not done with. I'm gonna work on it a little bit this weekend. Oops, I just realized I left my tablet in there. I was like, why is this so heavy? My tablet's in there because I've been stitching from that. Oops, sorry, gotta put that back in the bag or I'll forget it. Oop. Sewing machine. All right, so because I've been stitching on this from my tablet, I'll have to put a picture in here. And hopefully I have it on my phone, so hopefully I have a picture. If I don't, sorry. Okay, so this project is called A Joyful World. Yes, Joyful World series. And all of a sudden I cannot remember the designer's name. And it's actually not, it's Snowlower Diaries. That's the name of the designer's company. Is it Maja? I can't remember her name for sure. She just started a YouTube channel, or not. I think she's had the YouTube channel. I just found a recent video that she's done. Maybe she hadn't done videos for a little while. I think something like that. And so I just found a video that she released, and so anyhow, this stitch is by her and it's available on Facebook for free. So I will try to remember to link it below. And so in January, I actually did this one right here. It's a calendar stitch. Well, it's 12 months, 12 stitches, but you can put them all together. So I was kind of goofy though. And the fabric that I picked for it is wider than it is long. And so I have to do 4 months across and 3 rows. It would have been so much better had I done 3 months across and 4 rows, because, like seasonally, I could have done seasons. Well, even then, really not, because if you start with yeah, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. But a lot of the people that I have seen on Instagram and Facebook that had this done, they did the 3 across and 4 deep, and it just looks really nice the way it's laid out. So I'm going to keep my fingers crossed and hope that mine turns out okay. May not be great because I am a little bit still really wondering about this fabric, but it was just something unique to try, and I think it's going okay. My fabric's stretching just a little bit, but I think I can block that out when I finally get it done. And so January, I got done in January, and then I'm trying to think. I had so many other projects that I knew I was going to have to do for February and March and April that I thought, you know what, I'm just going to skip over to May, because that way I can kind of work this. I can work January, I can work May. I forget what the next month will be for sure in the 3 rows, or the 3 down. And then I can start in on February, and then I could do June, and then whichever. And so it'll take me a couple of years by doing it that way, but it'll get to stick around, and I'll get to really enjoy it when I get it done. It's more about the stitching than it is about the finish on this particular one. And also, I reorganized some of the charts. There was one of, well, so like the peacock, so I'm not done with it, but this is a peacock for November, and there's going to be like a flower and some other images around the side there, and it was supposed to have November up here, but it's going to have May. So the peacock was for November, but November in the US is supposed to be a turkey, right? So I just thought, I saw a couple other charts that were under months that I thought I can reorganize this just a little bit. And there's one here that there was one that I didn't really like. So I thought I'm going to find a little turkey to basically use this same frame and then put the little turkey image in November. Like I can pull elements from this pattern and then find a little image that I can put into the square for November. But in the meantime, there were a few months that made more sense to me under different months. So I flipped a few things around. I guess that's a long way to say that. I flipped a few things around and I'm making it my own. So that's my start on that. And I should be able to get this block finished this weekend. So just got to do a couple flowers, like I said, and put May in there. And then that'll hold off again until what? June, July, August, September? September. So I gotta put this back in here the right way or I will get lost. Sorry about that. Oh, kind of saw my back for a minute there, right? I'm not real great with my backings, but that's okay. Okay, so that's a few projects that I've been working on. No finishes really, but we're plodding along, right? So what kind of things have you been working on? Let me know in the comments. And I mentioned earlier that we took a little trip for my birthday. So let me grab a bag and I'm going to show you a little bit of what we got to do on that trip. Sorry, we fell over down there, so I had to grab that. Okay. There's a few things in this bag that I don't think are actually supposed to be on camera. Nope. That one. But I will show you the bag. Dolly Parton's Dixie Stampede. We went down to Branson and we got to go see the show down there. So when we were down in Branson, one of the things that I wanted to do was actually go to the Quilted Cow and Cecilia Samplers. So Cecilia Samplers is where I actually got the bag. So being my first time down there, she put a couple of the things that I got into the little bag for me. So now I have an extra bag for projects, and someday maybe I'll go to a retreat and get to use it. So what did I get there? Let me grab all my stuff out here. So she threw a few things in there for no charge, being my first time there. So I got the little card for putting your flosses on. So I might use that for a project. And she gave us a free pattern from Tiny Modernist. A little flamingo there. So that's pretty cute. Put that back in there. And then a couple items that I got a 12 by 14 piece of Jamie's kilt from was it 32 count linen fabric by Stephanie. So I think that's going to be really a pretty fabric to use. And then kind of to go with that, and I don't really know what project, but I thought they had these little shortcut thread packs, and so I just thought I'll get a couple of those. They were less price than normal because they were shortcut, but I don't think they're really short. There was a little explanation there that it's just a matter of the same amount is there. It's just that they're cut shorter than others. I know that sounds weird, but the same ounces are there. So you have more individual threads. They're just not as long as they're usually cut. So okay. And I got something that I have been looking for, and I found on a couple of sites to order online, but I didn't want to just get this particular pattern and have to pay shipping and all that. And so when I was down there, I thought, you know what, I'm going to ask, and she helped me find it. And she was very nice. If you ever have the opportunity to go to Celia's Samplers down in Branson, it was kind of a small store, but she was very nice, and there were a lot of people there, and everybody was really nice, and we all kind of, you know, can I help you find that, or, you know, shimmied around each other kind of thing, because it is a little bit on the smaller side, but there was a lot in there, so that's probably why it feels small, because there was a lot in a small footprint. So but again, everybody was really nice, and so it was great. All right, but I got Autumn Quaker, or Autumn is as Joyful, which everybody's calling Autumn Quaker, I think, and by Lila's Studio. So I have her Summer Quaker pattern that I'm stitching right now, and so or that I've been stitching since last year, and I'm gonna work on it some more this summer. I don't know if I'll finish it, but I want to get this one kitted up and started as well, because I just think it's so pretty. So I love that acorn. And Autumn is as joyful and sweet. Oh, well, so this is one of the ones that was a little bit, I don't know if it's controversial, isn't really the right word, but I think a couple people came up with a different quote for the inside, and I might use one of those. I think it was maybe Lindy Stitches had a little bit different quote on the inside there, because this one says, Autumn is as joyful and sweet as an untimely end. And I think that's a quote from somebody, but I just can't think right now. Oh yeah, Remy de Gourmand, French poet. I would have slaughtered the last name. A French poet and novelist. Autumn is a beautiful time of year. And there's a much longer quote, but somebody came up with one that I liked a little bit better, and so I will put that one in as soon as I can remember it. All right. So then the quilted cow. You hear all the crinkling, so I'll show you their cute little bag. And so what I got there is possibly a mystery. Let's see. Oh, so they threw this one in for free because it was my first stop there. So I got a black fat quarter there, and then I need to eat that little candy. And oh, I should have taken this one out of the bag. They had this made up using some different fabrics, and it was just really cute how they used this panel. And I thought, you know what, I bet I have the fabrics that I could make something up at home. So choose this day who you will serve. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Sorry, we shall serve the Lord. Well, it does say we will serve the Lord. I have the sign that says we shall serve the Lord. So, and then it just has you know, some other little sayings all over it. So I'll let you. I can't read backwards, so anyhow, they had it made up really kind of neat, and so it kind of gave me some ideas for what I want to do. And I think you could make a couple of different wall hangings out of this, actually, because it has the same little saying in different sizes. So I thought that was really cute for really not hardly anything at all. So money wise, not hardly anything at all. I don't remember exactly, but it was a sale or something like that. And I picked up this pattern there because I'd like to try to make that. And so, yeah, we'll see what I can do with that one of these days. And then I got a grab bag. So let's see what we got. All right, open her up. Okay, so I could kind of see through the bag, and this is the one that I could see through the bag, so I really like that. It's pretty, those flowers there. And then we have that leaf one there. So those two together will actually be, I think those would be okay together. All right, and we've got a Western theme print, apparently. So I don't know exactly what I'll do with that, but I'll throw it in with my scraps and come up with something. Oh, and this is so cute. Isn't that cat cute? And the pumpkins. I can definitely see a Halloween bag with that, maybe, or just something Halloween-y. Let's see. Oh, this is kind of different. I don't know what that is, but I guess that can go with my southwestern scrap here, and someday maybe something. All right, and then this is a flannel. Oh, that's kind of, it's a little off center. I wish it was centered a little bit better, then it'd be really cute, but I guess maybe that one right there in the center would be a good one. Otherwise, we kind of cut the heads off and got real close at the bottom on the hooves too. But there's a couple in there that you can see pretty well. So I bet I can do something pretty neat with that. So, okay, well, that was my shopping for our little trip. And those are my finishes, such as they are. Not finished, but at least some stitching done and some blocks made. So, all right, so next time, I don't know what next time will be exactly. It might be a lot of gardening, because that's what my next plan is. Actually, I know what it'll be. I have started kitting up some projects again this May for Mania. I didn't get real far just yet, as we're only on May 10th. But I have all the patterns picked, and I have a few of them that I have got kitted up. And so I just have to get the rest of them finished, kitted up, and then I'll be able to show you what all I've done. So that might actually be a video in June then. Like I'll go ahead and do that for May, and then I'll just run through them all in June in one video. All right, well, thank you for watching today, and I hope you're and saw something that you enjoyed. I hope maybe you're quilting along with Fatquartershop on the charity quilt along, or that you're stitching something that you enjoy. All right, well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.